Happy Sunday. Today I'm going to tell you a story. It's about Dr. Batmanghelidj, aka Dr. Batman, who was one of my many water heroes. And his story began when he was actually a political prisoner in Iran after the fall of the Shah in 1979. He was imprisoned in the notorious Evin prison, and he was certain that he was going to be sentenced to death for crimes against the revolution. And that's when he discovered a miraculous cure. Prisoners suffering from health conditions would come to the guards for help, but of course the guards didn't know what to do with those health issues. So the guards told the only doctor among the prisoners, Dr. Batman, to figure something out. But he had nothing. He had no medications to give them. All that was available was plain old water. So that's what he used. And that's when he discovered that for bodies that are made of water, water itself can be curative. Dr. Batmanghelidj treated over 3,000 cases of stress-induced peptic ulcers with nothing more than water. 2 to 3 glasses of water was all that it took for these patients under the most horrible of conditions to start to feel better, and often within 15 minutes they were completely pain-free. And he was so shocked by what he found that he actually volunteered to stay in the prison for an additional 4 months to treat patients with water for health, and to continue his work in studying the positive effects of hydration on the prisoners there. And it was these medical findings that saved his life as the Iranian Revolutionary Guard allowed him to be released and to have a medical paper published that let the world know of his discoveries. On his release from prison in 1982, Dr. Batmanghelidj escaped from Iran and came to America. And then he went on to publish many more papers and full-length books, including You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty, Don't Treat Thirst with Medication, and Water Cures, Drugs Kill. He appeared on hundreds of radio and television programs and lectured around the world, and his work has stood the test of time. Dr. Batman's studies over decades of research led him to the conclusion that most of the pain and all other symptoms that we've come to know as disease are actually the body's warning signs of chronic unintentional dehydration, and especially a shortage of free water inside our cells. So, for example, the inside of the cells of an average adult have to remain around 75% water in order for that person to really thrive and for the body to continuously heal and regenerate itself and for cells to maintain their optimal voltage and energy. But the vast majority of people have far less water in their cells because nearly everyone is dehydrated. And as the body compensates for its limited water reserves, it starts to fall into disrepair. It doesn't have the excess water that it needs for endogenous healing. And Western medicine labels these various symptoms, forms, and manifestations of dehydration as different diseases. But ultimately, every label for every disease is a synonym for a different form or manifestation of dehydration. So, according to Dr. Batmanghelidj's research and the work of many since then, all disease is a form of dehydration. Now, Dr. Batmanghelidj made a distinction between what he called bound water versus free water, and he defined the difference in this way. So the human body contains a lot of water, but the water that's contained in the body is mainly already osmotically engaged. In other words, it's busy with an activity, a chemical reaction, a chemical undertaking. Every protein in your body is surrounded by 10,000 water molecules. They're all bound and doing something. So that's what he called bound water. When the body needs, in order to perform new functions, osmotically free water, that he called free water. So Dr. Batmanghelidj taught that our bodies can be dehydrated even though the body has a lot of water in it due to this lack of free water that's necessary for so many of the extra functions that your body might need to perform on a day-to-day basis. And he developed what he called the water cure protocol based on mineral and electrolyte-rich water, which I teach in the course Internal Oceans that you can find at Waterislife.Academy. Now, of course, water science has advanced considerably since his day and age. Now that we better understand factors like metabolic and genetic water production and molecular hydrogen and the roles of deuterium-rich versus protium-rich water and double helix water, etc., we have even more advanced and effective hydration protocols than those that he devised. But nevertheless, he was an absolute pioneer, so that's why I wanted to tell you his story this Sunday. And his books were groundbreaking, and truly in my heart, I hope his legacy continues on, despite the way that he's been viciously attacked, and so many have tried to discredit his name. His findings are irrefutable, and the testimonials written by hundreds of the thousands of people that he cured from just a broad range of various ailments using only his hydration method, they're so moving to read. You know, Occam's razor says that the simplest answer is usually true. In a body that is mostly water, when something goes wrong, we should address the water first. So You can find Dr. B's books in the library section of Waterislife.Shop, and let us know in the comments below, have you ever read his work, or have you ever personally experienced the curative or healing effects of hydration?